Grazie e benvenuti all'Ambasciata d'Italia. Do not worry, I don't speak Italian. But I'm the Italian ambassador, so I have to say welcome, at least welcome in Italy. Actually, because I'm very happy, it's really a pleasure to welcome all of you tonight and this evening in our embassy for a conversation that celebrates excellencies, creativity, and the enduring dialogue between Italian craftsmanship and global fashion. Of course, you can ask Italian craftsmanship, Italian experience, and Tom Ford. Where is the connection? And our host, the CEO of Tom Ford Fashion, will explain us where there is this connection. And it makes sense, actually. It makes sense because actually it's a long history of connection that also encompass the big world of the relations, friendship between United States and Italy. I served 10 years in the United States, and they know how deep is our involvement. So thank you, Lelio Gavazza, for being with us this evening. And we are truly delighted to hear your perspective on the evolution of a brand that continues to shape a language of modern elegance. Someone said to me that the best tuxedo in the world are from Tom Ford. I do not have a tuxedo on Tom Ford, so I will work on this. I also want to thank Voiceroom for their collaboration in organizing this event. And, well, you are excellent because the room is very, very crowded until the last. It's not always like this, so congratulations. Tom Ford is a name synonymous with sophistication and innovation, a brand that has redefined modern elegance, a distinctive blend of American vision and Italian experience and craftsmanship. With its design, production, and creativity extremely rooted in Italy. Tom Ford Fashion actually embodies what makes Italian luxury truly unique, an uncompromised pursuit of quality, a deep respect for tradition, and an innate capacity to transform beauty in a contemporary language. And this evening conversation will offer us an opportunity to reflect how this value continue to evolve, especially in a world that continues to change and evolve very rapidly. From the expansion of Italian-made excellence to new consumer mindset and the future of fashion industry itself. In many ways, tonight's event captures a central message that Italy continuing to share with the world. The style is not just appearance, it's a result of culture built in century. Behind every garment, every collection, every creative gesture lies a story of people, territories, skills, value, a story that my country knows how to tell with extraordinary mastery. And it's precisely this spirit, the celebration of creativity, craftsmanship, innovation, that lies in the heart of the Italian Fashion Day in the world, le giornate della moda italiana nel mondo. This is an initiative was launched in January of this year by the Italy Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Antonio Tajani, in collaboration with the Italian Trade Agency and all the main industry associations. With this initiative, Italy wants to reaffirm its commitment to promoting fashion not only as a symbol of style, but also as a key driver of our culture and economic presence worldwide. So let me conclude by saying how delighted we are to host this discussion here in the Embassy of Italy, a place that seeks to serve a bridge between Italy's creativity industry, the international community of London, and all our friends. Thank you, all of you, and enjoy the evening.
Sorry, I'm not quite as tall as Ambassador. But good evening, everyone. It is lovely seeing you here, including some familiar faces. My name is Caitlin, and I'm delighted to be your moderator in this voice room. Before we begin, we would like to take a moment to express our sincere gratitude to Ambassador Lambertini and the Italian Embassy for your generous hospitality and invaluable support in making this event possible. It is truly a privilege to be hosted in such a beautiful setting, which is indeed the perfect place to celebrate the enduring influence that Italy continues to bring to the world of design. To ensure that we can all fully enjoy this evening, we would like to remind you to please keep your devices on mute and keep photography and filming at a minimum throughout this event. Our in-house photographers and videographers are on site to capture every moment, so you will be able to enjoy photos and a full recording later on. Now, tonight we are deeply honored to have with us Mr. Lelio Gavazza, the current CEO of Tom Ford Fashion. With a career spanning ExxonMobil, Manteraseta, Bulgari, and now Zegna Group, Lelio brings with him a remarkable breadth of international leadership experience. His sharp commercial acumen and deep understanding of what it takes to build a global brand while preserving its creative identity makes him uniquely suited to lead a house known not only for its fluency in desire and calculated seduction, but for its broader impact on fashion, film, and culture at large. Founded in 2005, Tom Ford Fashion has since established itself as a powerhouse for sharp tailoring, sleek silhouettes, and bold modernity, a go-to for those who dress with power and presence. In an industry that is often defined by overwhelming noise, the brand has always whispered in a language of discipline and control. Now, under Lelio's leadership, Tom Ford is entering a new era, refining what already speaks volumes and evolving with even greater clarity and presence. As such, it is only right that we start this event by allowing Lelio himself to lay the foundations for the conversation ahead of us. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Lelio Gavazza.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, thank you to the ambassador for hosting us in this amazing piece of Italy in UK, and we are extremely honored to be supported as always by the Italian government, and of course to all the members of the Italian representative here in UK that are working every day to make sure that Italy can always be represented correctly in the right way in every part of the world. Thank you to all of you. I was amazed when this morning I was flying out from Milano and my colleague told me the number of people that were supposed to come this night at the event, but as well the other people that were not able to attend these events, and I hope they can have a video or some information to be informed about this speech. And I'm amazed now to see how many young people are present in this room. I'm not young anymore, and I truly believe that there is no better choice to talk to young people that are the new generation that have the duty to run the business, to run the world in the next future. On top of working for Tom Ford, of course, I'm enjoying to be a teacher, professor in Bologna and in Polimoda in Florence. And I have to admit that every time that I go into the class and I have the opportunity to spend a few hours with the student, I always come out from this lesson with something that enrich my experience, enrich me as a person. Because you have a fantastic way to see the future, we have a different way to see the future, and I think passing to you experience, knowledge, competence, is the best thing we can do, because you have the duty to make sure that what has been done in the past can be moved into the future and do even better. So thank you for being with you, and I'm delighted to have this possibility to share with you. Because there are so many people, I think will be very interesting to go deeply in detail in a lot of questions that probably will give you much more opportunity to discover what is Tom Ford. I mean, I would like to make a brief introduction, because what I'm going to say probably is something that you can easily find in internet, in the comments, in the media about the fashion show, and of course I will leave most of the time in the open discussion with all of you to try to pass as many information as I can. Let's start a little bit with the history. Of course, Tom Ford fashion has been founded in 2005, as was mentioned before. And of course, started from beauty, eyewear, menswear, womenswear. Mr. Tom Ford and Mr. Domenico De Sole, that was the CEO at the time, and you might remember that both of them, they were the one that already saved Gucci in the previous century, and make sure that this brand become one of the top luxury brand. And actually, they were the one that found Kering Group, and they make it work with Saint Laurent after. And of course, when they decided to exit from the Kering Group, they founded this brand, and is the only brand in this century that has been successful with not only with fashion, but as well with beauty and eyewear. So it's really a lesson learning for those of you that would like to study fashion and would like to understand a little bit more about fashion. What is Tom Ford is always something that is maintained across all the product category. Is a synonym of seductive elegance, refined provocation, and of course, powerful individuality that is expressed not only by our product, but is expressed by Mr. Tom Ford himself. Mr. Tom Ford is a person that created the brand with the meticulous craftsmanship, uncompromising pursuit of beauty and perfection in everything that he was doing. And we in Tom Ford, we have continued to follow this characteristic of the brand, because this is what makes us so successful. How we get at this point? We get at this point because we are able to combine under the same umbrella 3 different product categories: beauty, fashion, and fragrance as well. And in all these product categories, we maintain the same code of communication, the same characteristic. You might have seen that when the ambassador mentioned about the tuxedo, I mean, the tuxedo is the must-have for every man. It's the tuxedo of 007, of course. And it's tuxedo that is completely different from all the other tuxedo. When you see a tailoring for men, it's the only jacket that you can recognize from distance. Big lapel, and you can tell this is Tom Ford. And when you see a man that is wearing Tom Ford, is the man that every woman would love to dream to have it. Not only because it's 007, but because it represents not an handsome man, but represents an expression of a very confident man, an expression of someone that knows exactly what he wants, he knows exactly what he can achieve, and he knows exactly which direction has to take in. Of course, differently is when we go into the world of eyewear. Eyewear, you might try to notice, and after this evening probably you can recognize, starting from tomorrow, I guess that 1 every 3 or 4 people that are wearing eyewear, they wear Tom Ford eyewear. This T, a longer T that you can find in the eyewear is really a representation of the brand that is so strong that has been transferring to the fashion as well, with accessory and as well into the shoes and bag. And then, last but not least, when we talk about fragrance, of course, the flacon of the fragrance is very distinctive and very recognizable over the world. So maintaining all this product under the same umbrella is a strong way to go into the market with very unique code of communication for the client. We respect the legacy. We respect the code that are coming from the past, are coming from what Tom Ford created when he founded the company in 2005. Of course, we have a new creative version, because after the Tom Ford and Domenico De Sole, they sold the company, and I remind you, company was being sold to Estée Lauder, and then the fashion part has been bought by Zegna, and we got the brand in licensing for 20 plus 10 years, 30 years. We got a new creative director that is Heider Ackermann. Heider Ackermann has been always one of the top creative directors in the fashion arena. Mr. Ford was always admiring him for the way he was creating the product, creating the brand. And of course, Ackermann, he was self-appointed as a guardian of Tom Ford legacy. And you can recognize this fact after the first show in Paris that has been held in last March in Paris, when the model finished to catwalk on the stage, and Heider Ackermann went outside to take the applause for the people. There was a big hug and kiss between Heider and Tom. There was a clearly recognition. It was an evidence that Tom told loudly to everybody, yes, you are the right person to continue my legacy, to maintain my legacy, continue to expand my brand into the future. So there was an amazing piece of information. Of course, Ackermann is reflecting exactly what are the codes of the brand, and is representing with his own way of designing the material in a very good way. Tom Ford is more intimate, and it's a little bit different from the Tom Ford made by Tom himself. While Tom Ford, when he was creating, was quite loud, it was quite sexy, Heider was able to be a little bit more intimate. He was able to create not anymore the sexiness in an evident way like Tom, but he was able to transform the word sex in sensuality. He was able to make sure that every single garment he was creating, it was not beautiful itself, but it was a way to enhance the beauty of the person that was wearing this garment. And this is a very good way of making interpretation. Of course, his way to creating garment was much more comfortable. It was much more soft, and but without compromising quality and product that we are using to make it happen. The other point that is quite important is the exclusivity of the brand. You might remember that when Tom Ford made his first show in Madison, he decided to make the show in his store in Madison Avenue. And because the store was it was big, but not as big as a location for making catwalk, there was only 100 people able to attend at the show. It was special invitation to 100 people. There was a big issue for everybody. Media not invited, top client not invited, celebrity not invited. But at the end of the day, there was exactly the first show to set the tone of the brand, exclusivity. And since then, all the show we have done so far, they have maximum 200 people seated at the show. I have to tell you the headache I have 1 month or 2 months before and a few weeks after the show, because everybody would like to come at the show, and then you start receiving messages, it's not possible, I'm not invited, how can you dare not invite me? But this is the exclusivity of the brand. When you look in the other competitor, you all invite 500, 600, 1,000 people. But if you would like to maintain exclusivity of the brand, this is the way you need to maintain. And Heider was maintaining exactly the same tone for the brand, making sure that exclusivity is at the top of the strategy of this brand. What Heider did so far is of course, bringing a contemplative energy inside of the brand. He brings a sensuality with a deliberate dignity and quiet. Ackermann's work expresses as well a wish to slow things, Nowadays in fashion, everything is rushing, everything is fast, everything is creating and dying in a few hours. He tried to slow down. You might recall the first show where, of course, he clearly stated, Tom Ford is the night, I'm the morning after. Normally the morning after a big party, you are much more slower. You just come out from the party, and the show was with the mirror, with a lot of fog, and you are exhausted for a beautiful evening, and then you start going back slowly into the day after, that is back to the real life. And that was the meaning of slowing down a little bit. And of course, putting a lot of emphasis in anticipation. Beauty and desire are composed to instant gratification. But what Haider is creating is silhouettes that are much more fluid, that follow soften the overall mood, more intimate. Show are reflecting all these kind of things. Even the second show was the same. And the other thing that Haider is bringing is a kind of cinematographic effect into the show. The second show was really like someone that was going to represent a real show with the model coming out together. It was not only a simple showcase of beautiful garments, fabric, but it was as well music, cinematographic, and choreography around. It was unbelievable to put everything together. What stands out in Haider's ability is to reinterpret Tom Ford aesthetic without compromising the core of the brand itself. He brings remarkable emotional intelligence to the creative process, and each element for creating the silhouette and cinematography and choreography is at the top of the fashion show. So really something that everybody can remind after the show. Our clients that are the most important, of course. We are still a small brand in comparison to other brands, but our clients are international, profound individual. They draw into the maison not because they love the product, but because when they dress up the product, they feel much better. They feel self-confident. We don't like to talk about powerful. When I dress the jacket, I feel powerful, but we love to see that I'm much more self-confident. I had the opportunity to meet one lawyer in Texas during one of my market visits, that he was telling me, you know what, I tried several jackets from your competitor, and the day that I put my jacket of Tom Ford, I never take it out. Every morning I put my jacket, I go into my office, and I feel much more powerful when I stand in front of my clients. And then consequently I can invoice more to them. So this is give self-confidence. That is not given. It's not given. The product has not to be beautiful, but the product has to enhance the beauty and the confidence of every single person. Let's try to go fast, and I leave much more space to the questioning. To the question, we apply the same principle as well when you talk about ambassadors, celebrity, socialite. Of course, every brand are running to employ the one that has much more followers, the one that can dress up the brand and amplify the communication of your brand in the social media. Well, in Tom Ford, first of all, we don't want to take the people that come into the show just because they have millions of followers. The followers are not the most important criteria of the evaluation. For us, the brands that are coming into the show are the real lover of the brand, are the real people that dress up with Tom Ford because they love the feeling, they love the product, and they feel close to the brand. That's the reason why we Haider and we as a brand, we are very close to some of the top celebrities, Tilda Swinton, Timothée Chalamet as well, they're a good friend of Tom Ford. And they dress up Tom Ford not only when they have to go to red carpet, but they support Haider and support Tom Ford every time they have the opportunity to do that. So basically, recently we dressed up Pedro Garcia, Madonna to the Met Gala. We just gifted last week to the concert of Lady Gaga, beautiful look, and she's gonna dress up probably. We believe so in one of the next occasion, because they genuinely feel the brand is close to the way they are, the way they can express themselves. And of course, all this product we are making has a connection with the design code. The craft and the technique that we are doing is important. The ambassador before mentioned how important is Italy as a country, an Italian company to make these kind of things. Well, let me say that when we go to fashion, and I can say that because I live more than 15 years abroad, not in Italian country, but when we talk about fashion, there is no other country that can do fashion better than Italy. Every single brand in the fashion world, they're coming and manufacturing product in Italy. When you talk about silk, you go to Como. When you talk about fashion, you go Milano. When you talk about leather, you go to Florence. When you talk about eyewear, you go to Treviso, and so on and so forth. When you talk about car, you go to Maranello, you go to the beautiful city. And that is because it's a characteristic of our country. Our country arrived at this point simply because we have over 2,000 years of history. If you look at picture of a painting of Roma 2,000 years ago, there is not so much different of what it was 2,000 years ago in the city of today. There was the best engineering, there was the best creative people, there was just making beautiful palace. You walk in Roma today and you still see monuments that are coming from 1,000 years of history. That is unbelievable. Well, this is the reason why passing over this experience, this knowledge, this capability, generation by generation, we arrive at the point where certain products can only be made in Italy. And that's the reason why most of the fashion brands are coming to Italy. And nobody can ever touch this characteristic. And in Tofo, we are lucky enough to have a mother company that is Zegna Group, that since 1910 is been a synonym of quality, craftsmanship, is synonym of tailoring product. So we have the opportunity to control the entire supply chain in the tailoring. From Zegna used to say, from sheep to shop. So basically, from the animal to the final product, every single step is in control of the brand. And then we can guarantee the level of quality and craftsmanship. We can give a lot of beautiful products. So we have the best material, the best partner, the best design, the best company, but as well we give a lot of attention to details. Not only the detail that you can see, but the detail that you cannot see. The most of the time are the one that make the client proud of what he has. Maybe after you can see some of the detail, but for example, if you turn the lever, you see there is a little bit of azola here that is useful to put your rose or your flowers into an event. We can have a beautiful linen inside of the jacket with your name weaved that is invisible. You can only see it, but more than ever today, it's not important to showing off, but important to make sure that you are showing off for yourself, not for the other. And that's make you much more comfortable and much more happy of what you are dressing up. We always maintain a balance between timeless luxury, aesthetic, and innovation. And we do that, of course, looking after young generation, try to, of course, guarantee that we have product at the top end. You may have seen beautiful leather coat or beautiful leather jacket that might be quite expensive, but as well we have the possibility to enlarge our product category, always respecting the DNA and the codes of the brand, with a product that can be a little bit more affordable. And thanks to the eyewear and to the fragrance, we have the opportunity to really touch millions and millions of potential consumer. And then when we move into fashion show, well, fashion show is an unbelievable event. I mean, if you love fashion, you all dream to attend to some beautiful fashion show. You know, the fashion show is something that starts 6 months in advance, and it go on with the preparation of prototypes, sample, finding the location, creating the choreography, and then you arrive 1 month before where everybody start screaming and be crazy because there is no more time. You need to do things. The product doesn't arrive. So the energy that you get in the preparation of the show is unbelievable. And then you have, on average, 10 to 15 minutes of show that it costs you a fortune to do this kind of things, without sharing the number, but a fortune. And you have 10 to 15 minutes to show what you are able to do. And then from the second after the show, you start being criticized or glorified for what you've done for 6 months in the past, in 10 to 15 minutes. And that is unbelievable. Of course, what we showcase in the fashion show is just the pinnacle of the brand. It's just the best of the best. Are the pieces that go to the media, the pieces that go to the celebrity in the red carpet, Los Angeles, Cannes, and every other event, Met Gala, whatever, to show the brand. But of course, what is done after the show is create the entire collection that is made not only for the show, but to be sometimes much more wearable, to be much more affordable to a lot of other consumers that might not dress up exactly this product. But every single piece has to be approved by the creative director because he has to bring inside the DNA of the brand. And the strategy is, of course, to expand the woman. Today, the business is mainly men. We need to expand much more the woman, to go into the accessory business, to expand geographically. Tom Ford was an American designer. He always pushed the business into the America. We expand in a couple of years in Europe. Now, as soon as the crisis in China will be over and the China business will start becoming again, we're going to push much more into the Asian business to penetrate much more this market. But the point that, again, reconnect one of the topics of the brand is exclusivity. We will never become a brand with 600, 700 boutiques around the world. We will never become a brand with 7, 8 boutiques in the same city simply because there is a potential consumer, number of consumers that can afford the brand. But exclusivity means that we're going to be in the right place, in the right city, not over-distributed. Possibly manage directly the distribution and not with business partner. Because when you manage directly, you can control your consumer. You can face your consumer directly. Remember, the consumer now are much more keen to have an experience rather than a product. They don't simply want to buy a jacket, trousers, or a gown. They want to have an experience. They want to feel the brand. They want to come into the store and have this sensation of, I feel good. And then when they wear the product, they get out and they still feel good. So exclusivity will be always our point of differentiation versus some other brand. But of course, maintaining this positioning and continue working hard with all the team of Tom Ford Fashion and with the support of Zegna is our duty. And it's our duty to thanks, in a way, Mr. Tom Ford that was so smart to create this brand only in 2005 and become one of the top fashion brands in the world. Thank you very much. And I leave now the stage for question and answer.
Very insightful introduction. Before we dig deeper into Tom Ford Fashion, I think it would be worth getting to know you a little bit better. Our audience knows you as the CEO of Tom Ford Fashion today, but what some of them may not know is that prior to entering the luxury industry, you actually began in chemical engineering. So how did the definition of luxury change before and after you entered the industry, if at all?
Thank you. Of course, yes, I'm a chemical engineer. Yes. It's a sickness I can, I can recover, of course. No, I have to say, my point of view on luxury never changed. I mean, it was a different view of the luxury. Of course, we're not in the field, and my first job as a chemical engineer, because I was strongly believed that chemical engineer was my future, because I'm not only a chemical engineer, I was in the college, I was a chemical technician as well. So chemistry for me is inside. And when I write, for example, water, I don't write water, I write H2O still now, because I mean, I still have chemistry inside of my blood. And I started my career in a chemical plant. I was making lube oil for, additive lube oil for cars and truck and ship, of course. Not the best product, to be honest, not like Tom Ford. It was a little bit smelly, sticky, and every time I was to go to the manufacturing plant, I have to wear helmet, long sleeve, safety shoes, protection glasses. So you cannot fall in love with this product, of course. And then moving different step into the fashion, you don't change the way you perceive fashion, but you see the fashion from a different angle. That is the most important. Fashion is always, and a luxury product is always these beautiful things that is something that is a product that is exclusive, is a product that is representing the pinnacle of every kind of product category you are doing. But of course, when you're a consumer and you live in outside world, you live the fashion. When you enter into the store, you decide to buy a jacket, shoes, or a bag. When you work in fashion, you see what is really fashion, what is the process to create a fashion product. It's not a simple jacket that you have to do. It's not a simple shoes that you take. You can manufacture a bag. You take a piece of leather. You make the pattern and you create it. But it's a tremendous work of people that have years of experience and capability. And not everybody, in terms of craftsmanship, they can do fashion. And then is a tremendous job of creative people to invent or to create something that is completely new or completely different from the other. And that is an amazing job of our marketing team to market this product, to make sure the product can reach the client at the right time. When you see these things from different sides, you can perceive the value that is inside of the fashion product, and then you can understand the difference between fashion and non-fashion luxury product.
In that spirit, if you were to meet someone with a similar scientific or technical background who also wanted to enter the luxury space, what would you advise them to focus on?
Well, you know, I never wanted to went into the luxury actually, because I was really believer of chemical engineer, and I make my thesis in biotechnology, and I was trying to do recovering of waste from agricultural product to create ethylic alcohol and to have this kind of green activity. And then it's happening in life that opportunity come to you and you take the opportunity. So it's very difficult to design your career path or your development, or at least you can try to do it, but it's very difficult, and then every step become one after the other, you arrive at the point. Most of the time it's a question of be the right person at the right time in the right position. And this is not enough, because when that's come, then is something that go into your capability to take the opportunity. And then is your decision to embrace the challenge or not embracing the challenge. And believe me, most of the people, they tend to stay in the comfort zone. Why I need to make this step changing is something that I don't understand what it doesn't mean. And then most of the time you cut the possibility that you have to grow in your career or to learn something more. So what I am telling to the young people is always be, in one side, curious, because you need to try to understand as much as you can, and always get out of your comfort zone. It's painful, it's dangerous, but at the end of the day, there is no good result if you don't have some pain. I remember, in particular, two moments of my career when I moved from management consultant to textile business. I became Chief Operating Officer of Montero Seta in Como, and I had my first meeting, the first day, with my direct report in this meeting room. And of course, I never had to deal with fashion or textile business. And I make a 2-hour meeting. I finished my meeting and I understood probably 20% of what they were saying in this room. First, because they were talking about technical product, technicality of the process that I was not aware about it. Second, because they're talking local dialect from Como, and I was not from Como. So I went into my room and I was saying, oh my God, I need to lead this team. How can I learn? How can I be credible? I can be the one that have to tell them where to go. And that was the first challenge. Well, I was working hard to make it happen. In particular, I was working during the day. I was going to have a pizza in the night, going back into the manufacturing plant and work in the night, 3-4 hours the night with the worker, printing the fabrics, weaving the fabrics with them, and understanding what really was the meaning of doing this product. And then learning, understanding from them what it was. And the second one was when I decided to move into China. When I was in Montero, Zegna, I was in Zegna before for a few years, then I moved into Bulgaria, but Zegna proposed me to go to China to become a CEO of a joint venture, manufacturing joint venture they had in Wenzhou, Zhejiang province, not a first-tier city, but a third-tier city at the time. It was early 2000. Well, I say yes, because I was loving the country, I was loving the people. But believe me, for 9 months, every morning I was waking up, I was telling myself, oh my God, what I did. Why I came here? I was living in Chernobyl, on Como, beautiful view on the lake, and I ended up, for the Chinese that are in the room, they might know what is Wenzhou, in Zhejiang province, I ended up in a city of 6 million inhabitants, 3 Italians living there. 3 Italians. No one Starbucks coffee, no an international hotel, no Italian restaurant, nothing. Well, you cannot do other things that try to understand and learn it. But believe me, every time then when I moved into Bulgaria after 3 years, every time I was traveling around China and I was dealing with the landlord to negotiating renting or negotiating space, and I was telling them in Chinese, I'm Wenjonese. They would tell, oh really? Sorry, debushi, all the time. And then it was a good way to learn the market and to learn the business. So sacrifice, get out from your comfort zone. It's not gonna be easy, but if you can resist, you can get a payback after that.
So we will be talking about China. We will be talking about China in just a few moments, but we've just learned that we've worked across so many different industries, so many different locations. When you move between these industries and between companies, especially to one that may initially feel a little bit foreign, people sometimes feel the need or the pressure to change themselves to fit in better. How do you adapt quickly to a new environment without losing your own leadership qualities and overall identity?
Well, changing is a characteristic that has to be inside of you. I mean, you need to change. Every time you change your job, you change the city and you change the segment, you need to change yourself. You cannot pretend to be the same person, professionally the same person that you were before. You need to be the same person. As a value, as a human value, you need to be the same person. You need to be humble, you need to be a person that can really accept comment, they're ready to listen. Most of the time the people doesn't listen the other. And when you go in a new city, in a new country, in a new business, you need to listen because you need to learn. And then when you learn, you can make your own judgment that will drive your career in the future. So the speed of learning and to become up to the speed is really up to you. How dare you are to listen, to change, to understand, and to be humble in a way that you can put on your backpack the minimum number of information and knowledge that can allow you to take decision and to guide the team. Basically, you need to be a charismatic leader. You need to be the person that always know the true north when you can go in the right direction. You don't need to be the best technician, the best expert in every single segment, but you need to know more or less where is the direction, knowing the minimum information that can allow you to take the right decision.
You mentioned leadership, which leads perfectly into my next question. Once you have adequately adapted to the pace of a new role and a new environment, then comes the real challenge of connecting with the people who you're meant to lead, right? So what have you found to be the most effective ways of building trust and rapport with a new team?
Well, I love this question because actually is something that come out in the way I was seeing my parents in the past and the way I am today. Of course, I say I'm not young like you, so probably you don't have all this kind of information, but I was living with parents that was making the Second World War. So parents that were thinking about having a job that is secure, having a job that you start, you can go to the retirement. My father was head of railway station, so he was moving around, but he worked from 16 until 62 in the Ferrovie Italiane. And I remember the first time I told my father I'm going to change my job, he was mad with me. What are you doing? Are you changing your job? They pay you well. It's a good position. Why are you going to get an new one? Be careful. You don't know what you're going to have in the next job. And that was, of course, something that was impossible to understand. But it was a way to describe how the people has changed in the time. In the past years, I mean, until 20 years ago, 30 years ago, becoming a CEO of the company was the end of the career. I'm the CEO now. Now I have my beautiful office, my secretary, my plant, everything is ready. My assistant will bring me the lunch. I can have a coffee in the morning when I arrive. Oh my God, it's a heaven. It's done. It's finished. I can be happy. It's not like that. I mean, if you are a CEO of the company, it's the beginning of your job. You have the responsibility of your people, 1,700, few thousand. And not only of the people, you have the responsibility of the family of your people. So when you become a CEO, it's the beginning of a very hard job. A very hard job that has to bring you to be the guide and the example for your team. I'm normally the first one to come in the office and the last one to leave the office. I'm normally the one that always tend to do whatever I have to do. I mean, last Friday there was the delivery of the beverage and the food, and there was no one in the office because it was so late, and I was the one carry on the food and beverage. I was not the one say, sorry, I'm the CEO, come and deliver tomorrow because there is my assistant. Not at all. I'm the one that if I'm in the store, some client arrive and there is no sales assistant around, I'm the one going to the person say, can I help you? Then of course I need to call my people because I'm not skilled to sell every single piece. But leading by example. Be a charismatic leader to show to the people that you are the one that they need to take as an example to be successful. If they trust you, if they see you as the example, then you can be successful. Remember that the success is not made by one person. It's not because I'm a good CEO that Tom Ford is going to be succeed in the next few years. Tom Ford is going to be succeed if my team will do a great job. I'm a director of orchestra. I need to make sure that all the people in the room, all my report, the report of my report, and all the people are working in the company will work with the same objective, and they are happy to achieve the result. If that's happened, you're going to be successful. If you pretend to be a CEO as your last role, like the best one, the big one, I'm sure you're gonna fail, because it's not the way of working nowadays and the way of reaching success in the company.
So now let's really talk about Tom Ford Fashion. By now you have spent over 20 years immersed in the world of Italian luxury. When you first became CEO of Tom Ford 2 years ago, what was the first element that you felt had to remain untouched, and the first that you felt you had to change?
Well, you're talking about myself or the company?
Yourself.
Myself, okay. But about myself, the first thing I discovered, because you might have seen by my career, and I'm sure you Google my career, every time I change a job, I change segment. I never change a job and do the same job in another company, to the competitor or whatever. So every time I start a new job, for me, is a new life. I need to learn, I need to understand. The first thing I was really not shocked, but surprised is how fast is fashion. How fast you need to be ready to take decision, even if you don't have the minimal level of information to make your decision. When I was working in chemical plant, we were used to have 10 to 15 years to develop one product, 10 to 15 years. 5 years to get all the authorization from the local government. And then when you were launching a product, it was there for 20 to 30 years. So boring. I mean, no excitement, because everything has to pass by step, everything was organized by authorization and gate. They could say yes or no for the approval. When you work in fashion, you have, if you're lucky, you have 6 months, because your collection is launched at the beginning of the season, and after 6 months your product is over, because you go to the next season, if you're lucky. But remember, when you go in the store, you see the product in the store. This is only a part of the collection that you see, because most of the other product has been developed, not approved, abandoning the development process, not achieving the approval of the CEO, of the other people, and then abandoned. So speed of making the decision has to be equal to the speed of making things happen. So I had to learn, because I was coming from jewelry company where the stock was increasing the value after 6 months, because the gold was going up, so there was no stock issue. In fashion, after 6 months, your stock has to be depreciated fast. And if you don't care about depreciation, you will discover at the end of the year that the level of depreciation that you take in your P&L is going to kill your results and your bonus, and the bonus of your people. Then you discover fast that it's better that you do a good job into the stock management, and you're fast in taking the decision. What I was not changing is my leadership style. Be humble, be with the team, be the guide of my people, leading by example has been always a characteristic of myself, and I think is the characteristic that has to be maintained and was maintained into the company.
Well, every major luxury brand today may speak a global language, but their souls are often rooted in one place. And for Tom Ford Fashion, that place has become Italy. While Italy very much remains at the heart of the brand is also constantly reaching new audiences, new cultures, and new customer engagement everywhere, every day. How do you ensure that this Italian culture that is so core to the brand is still transmitted, even if the boutiques or the stores that you're looking at are not exactly in Italy?
Well, of course, being an international brand means you need to open all over the world. So it might happen that you have a store in West Coast, store in Australia, New Zealand, all over the world. Time difference, culture difference, perception of the client that is different. But one thing has to maintain and change. This is the DNA of the brands. The brands is like a person. My DNA is coming from my parents. It cannot be changed. And I'm going to be Lelio forever. I cannot decide to change myself. I can decide to change my color of the hair, color of the eyes, the way I'm dressing up, I can be slimmer or fatter, but this is the code of communication, not the DNA. The DNA is the one that I have inside of me. The same thing has to be for the brand. The brand has unique DNA. It doesn't matter if you go to China, America, Australia, Middle East, or Europe. Your DNA is always the same. So you need to represent the brand always the same way. You need to change the code of communication, the way you talk to the clients. When you go in Middle East, you cannot advertising model with uncovered shoulder. When you go to China, there is a certain way of communication that you need to respect. And the same thing in Europe, in America, in Far East, or in Russia, ex-Russian country. So you change the way of you communicate, but what you need to maintain and change is the DNA, your product. If you change your DNA, you might have a benefit in short time because you gain clients, but after a few years, the client lose yourself. And there are plenty of brands that follow the client's request, and they collapse, disappear, or they lost themselves and they're not recognized anymore. The client buy Tom Ford because it's Tom Ford, not because we do product for Chinese or we do product for Middle East or product for America, Europe. They buy because they would like to have this big lapel, because they would like to have the sensuality of on a woman evening gown. That is the most important things.
So much of brand expansion is measured through metrics like total reach and total revenue, but in luxury, it can be argued that the truest signs of success often appear at the customer level, and how the brand is felt and remembered by each customer that comes across it, as you said. And indeed, as you mentioned in your speech, Tom Ford's customers are drawn to the brand not just for how it looks, but also for how it makes them feel. So, when you walk into a Tom Ford boutique, what are the non-negotiables? The things that, regardless of location, must be the same for the experience to be on brand?
Well, the boutique has to represent the DNA of the brand anyway. So first of all, you cannot make a different boutique by different country. When you enter in a store, Tom Ford, you need to have the same feeling. You need to have the same welcome. You need to have the same product. You need to have the same finisher. Sometimes I remember in the past, the people will say, okay, I'm opening in this third-tier city in China. I'm going to make a store that will be cheaper because it's a third-tier city, so it's not the big one. Wrong. The client that buy in this city see a kind of store and a kind of brand presentation. And this kind of store brand presentation has to be exactly the same that they can find in Milano, in Paris, in New York, or in Los Angeles, because otherwise they don't understand what the brand is standing for. The quality and the merchandise assortment has to be the same. So you need to make sure that the basic of the brand DNA and the basic of the brand presentation are always the same. Then, of course, when you go to China, you have a Chinese sales advisor. When you go to America, you get an American one. In Italy, an Italian one. Not necessary, because, I mean, you can have different nationality. But the core DNA and the core basic of the brand has to remain untouchable and no differentiation by city.
Those non-negotiables may set the tone for the brand, but beyond those individual elements, there are also that process from start to finish of what the experience should feel like. So what does the ideal customer journey look like in the Tom Ford world? You mentioned the saying, sheep to shop. So now I guess I'm asking about like to lifestyle, from the moment people like the brand to when it becomes part of their lifestyle.
Well, again, an interesting question, because consumer behavior is changing very fast. In particular, before COVID, it was a long process to changing the consumer behavior. But we discovered after COVID that basically every year, consumers are changing the way they have to buy the product. They're changing the way they want to receive experience inside of the store. So experience is the most important things. Product is important. Product has to be top quality, top luxury, but this is given by the name. You cannot be a luxury brand, fashion luxury brand, if you don't have top quality or top luxury. You need to be at this level. What is important is the experience that you have when you enter the store. Clients, they buy because they want to feel the brand. And typical example was the e-commerce phenomenon. Before COVID, the penetration of e-commerce for luxury product, fashion and luxury product was really limited. You don't buy garments. Before COVID, it's difficult. You buy garments, luxury garments into e-commerce. You want to try and feel and test because of this feeling that you can have it. Of course, within COVID, all the stores were closed and everybody was buying in e-commerce because the only one available to ship you the product. But what's happened that as soon as the store reopened, the people get back to the store because they want to feel the experience. So one thing that you cannot change is the experience. Artificial intelligence, automation of the process, everything can be done as a support of sales, but it can never replace the experience that every single advisor can provide to the clients into the boutique. So what you want to have inside of the boutique is experience, the way you treat your customer, the way you get into the feeling. When they buy the product, it's because you touch this personal sphere, the emotional part of a brand. And when you touch the emotional part, then they can buy a product. If you are not able to enter into the emotional part of the clients, it's difficult to get into the sales.
When you bring that vision into different parts of the world, what feels ideal in one market may sometimes become interpreted completely differently in another. How do you decide when to challenge a market or when to adapt to the local expectations?
Well, very simple. If you go to the principle that DNA remain the same, you need to make sure that you present the brand in the same way, but you need to adapt to the way of communicating to the local consumer. So, in few words, don't touch the DNA, change the code of communication. That's it. When I talk to Chinese, I need to talk in a Chinese way. When I talk to European, I need to talk to European way. When I talk to America, it has to be American way. I don't need to change my product. I don't need to make my garment different in China versus Italy or versus America. I need to advertise, talk to them, making events, and doing activities that are more into the vibe of the local consumer.
Well, aside from brand interpretation, the pace at which markets move also differ by location, and as you said, is very sensitive. Some markets may catch on quickly, whereas others evolve more gradually. How do you remain patient in markets where immediate results are not visible, but long-term brand value is quietly growing?
Well, fashion and luxury is not a market of short-term results. This is the first thing you have to learn in marketing. If you work in consumer product, you advertise yogurt, you make an advertising in prime time in television this night, tomorrow you will see on the shelf your yogurt is going to be out because you make advertising this night. And this is what we call in marketing S-curve. In fashion, when you start pushing a brand, it takes several months before you get the result of the marketing activity. It takes several years when you enter into a market with a new brand to get in the mindset of the consumer. So patience is something that you need to have. Capability to deploy a brand in a new market is a must if you work in fashion. You cannot pretend to go into the market to achieve the result. So this means that you always look a long-term investment in fashion. It's not a business that you do today to get a return tomorrow. No way. If you want to do this business, it's not fashion. So you need to invest, and always take care about your brand. Brand is like a person. He has a DNA, is like a person. You need to take care of your brand. When you have a child, you spend probably at least 20 years to invest on your children. Kindergarten, first primary school, college, university, time and money that you spend for your kids to make sure that then they can be successful in their life. It's the same for the brand. You need to spend money, advertising, develop the brand, taking care of the brand and taking care of your client when you receive, of course, not after 20 years, shorter than that. It might be a few years, it might be a little bit more longer, a little bit more shorter, but of course you need to have a lot of passion, a lot of investment to get the results. And you need to know what you're doing wrong or what you're doing well, just to correct your trajectory and to be successful.
So, speaking of markets and geographical expansion, you mentioned that you lived in China for a very long time. So I thought it would be interesting to explore how that experience helped shape your understanding of the way luxury is defined across cultures. Having now been exposed to both sides of the world thoroughly, what do you believe are the biggest misconceptions that Western luxury executives have about Eastern consumer behavior and vice versa?
Well, also this kind of perception changed over the last 20 years. At the beginning, we were thinking Chinese, they were not sophisticated enough. And the international brand was so arrogant to say, okay, they are not sophisticated, we cannot sell the top line product. We need to make maybe the second line and third line. That was 20 years ago. And that was the first mistake that the Western were doing. They didn't realize the Chinese were much faster than the Western to get used to the fashion product. Now the perception that we have, it doesn't change so much market by market, because when I look at the world, basically there is no other market in the world that we need to expand. China, it was until a few years ago the first market for heavy brands. Now America is the first one. Europe is important. Middle East is picking up strongly. Southeast Asia is an important market. Different countries that are developing, but more or less the perception of the consumer are always the same. What is changed is year after year who's going to be the first, the second, and the third, and vice versa. Until a few years ago, it was China, America, Europe. Now it's America, Middle East, and Europe. It depends on the international situation, of the crisis that we are having, of the world, of the economical situation in every country. But the perception of the consumer now is more or less the same. And the mistake the Western was doing in the past has been well perceived and understanding. It was funny when I was in the previous company. It was 20 years ago. I remember the store manager of the store, the flagship store in Roma, was telling me, when the Chinese enter, I tend to push them out because they are shouty, they come with slippers, we are a luxury brand, we cannot have this client inside of the store. I would say, be careful, because if they're shouting on the phone, probably they are going to check with their wife if they want 5 carats on the carrot ring, and they are discussing about the sizing. Don't judge based on the person that entered into the store, but just try to understand every singular characteristic of the consumer, because it's not the dress that making the consumer, but it's the potentiality and the capability of the market to make the brand successful or not.
Indeed, cultural context can very much influence consumption and the luxury mindset, but so can generational identity. Starting off more broadly, how would you describe the modern luxury consumer today versus, let's say, 10 years ago? What do people value most now?
Well, in the past, there was logo versus the brand, by far. In particular, in the Far East. You might remember the age of Hermes, you might remember LV bag. It was logo, 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 because it was more showing off versus perception of the quality. Then we move into not showing off, so less visible, but still branded. And what is today is experience. The client today, they want to have the experience. You might have seen the transformation of the store that happened in the last 10 years, from shelf to sofa, living area. The client, when they go into the store, they need to feel the brand. They want to spend not only 20 minutes to see, I want this one, this one, this one, this is my credit card. They sweep the card and take the product. They want to enjoy the time inside of the store, talking to the people, feeling the brands, having a close connection with the DNA of the brand, and being part of the evolution of the brand. There's a reason why it will be much more experiential activity. And that's the reason why I believe, I don't know if there is a question after, but I believe that this kind of experience can never be replaced with the artificial intelligence. Because as good as artificial intelligence is, and I'm using it, but you can never make a good relationship with a person with artificial intelligence. And we prove it, because every time in an e-commerce transaction there is intervention of a person or a customer advisor, normally the average ticket go up by 30% versus the machine interaction.
Many young consumers today are paradoxical. They want visibility, but also discretion, access, but also exclusivity. I think you've mentioned before that Tom Ford is working hard to connect with younger audiences. So how do you decode these contradictions when building brand strategy?
Well, it's a difficult question. Okay. Hello? Yeah. Difficult question. I'm not sure I have the right answer on that. Young people, they want everything. You want everything. You're young, you want everything. You want a brand that respects ESG. You want a brand that is taking care of the world. You want a brand that is making the process in line with a certain procedure. But is that really what you want? I'm not sure, and I give you an example. I was in a class a few years ago. It was young people, 20 to 23, and all the people was bidding on me, you know, sustainability, process that has to be in compliance with the ESG or certified or whatever. So we're talking about diamond, and we say, okay, why there are still companies that are gonna sell real diamond while the synthetic diamond can be sustainable? You can be sure 100% they don't support any war in the world. They don't do anything against the ESG. Well, I ask a question. I say to the lady in the room, I say, let's assume, okay. Let's assume that tomorrow your boyfriend is going to propose to you. What are you going to tell your boyfriend is come with a synthetic diamond for your proposal? 98% of this woman that was claiming ESG say, no way. Whenever I change the boyfriend, I refuse the proposal, I don't want it. Simply because at the end of the day, what you want is the meaning to stay behind the product, and not how the product it is. So diamond is a sign of love. Diamond is an eternal product. Love, every woman dreams in an eternal love with a boyfriend. You cannot have an eternal love with something that is not rare. It's something created in the lab. So every young woman in this class was telling me, I want a real diamond. So going to your question is, sometimes you ask, because it's in the way, in the social media, in the talking of activity, that you need to have these kind of things rather than the other things. You want to be sustainable, you want to be the things. But deep inside, the real answer is the brand has to remain the brand without any change. What you have to do is make sure that you can be affordable to young generation, you can be fit to the young generation in a way that you can capture their attention. But if they love the brand, they go to the brand. All the other things is, of course, something that you need to do. I'm not saying we don't have to be sustainable. We need to be sustainable. It's a top important topic. But you need to as well to really understand what, in reality, the consumer wants from you. And they want to be a real brand. They don't want to change based on the key topics of the moment.
Well, Lelio, there are so many other questions I could ask, but in the interest of time, we will be closing with a series of 4 questions that are in line with our Voiceroom motto, today for tomorrow. So first, We often say that the future belongs to those who prepare for it. What are you doing today that you believe will have the greatest impact on your vision for tomorrow?
Well, as I mentioned before, the future can be planned, but you cannot make sure that what you plan is gonna happen for sure. What you need to do to make sure what you plan is gonna happen is to get out of your comfort zone. Because if you don't get out of your comfort zone, you never go out in the next step. You never reach the next step. You never reach the position that you might dream of. So always challenge yourself and put yourself in a position to take the decision that most of the time is not the most comfortable one.
Second, what is the biggest opportunity that business leaders must seize today in order to create a better tomorrow?
Today, everything is available to everybody. When I started working, there was no even internet at the time, so it was easy to run the business because nobody can see what is going to happen in Europe, in China, in other parts of the world. Today, everything is available in the net. Everybody can know everything. So you need to be faster than the other, and you need to be curious to learn much more information that you can to be the best one, the most informed person to beat your competitor.
Third, what is the single change that you hope to see in business or in leadership? And how will implementing that change impact that vision that you've created in your head for tomorrow?
Well, from my point of view, the change that I did was just to be much more fast in taking the decision. As an engineer, I used to study. You know, engineers sometimes are squared. I mean, they cannot do anything if you don't have made your analysis, your number, and then you make your result based on the number. And I want to tell you a history that happened to me. When I was working in textile, I remember there was one of the top clients, top luxury brand, that came to me and they were complaining because a fabric printed in red, it was not in specification. The creative director saying, it's not good, you need to remake it. Well, as a chemical engineer, I say, simple. You take the red, you put the red under the spectrophotometer, you make an evaluation of the delta E, and you see if the delta E of the red is within the specification of the red, you answer the company, sorry, is in specification or not? My boss told me, you don't understand anything. If a creative director say the red is no good, the red is no good. It can be the best red you ever done, that is no good, so you need to remake it. So be fast in understand these kind of things is the most important things. You need to understand what is behind of you, around you, and then you make the decision. And most of the time without making a judgment based on number or scientific results.
And finally, last question. If you had all the resources that currently exist in the world today, and you knew that you wouldn't fail, what dream would you go all in on tomorrow?
Well, this is really a dream because I wish to have all the resources available to me right now because I could make amazing things. Well, if I could have this kind of things is having the customer in the center and make sure to have a company that can run faster as the requirement of the consumer. Unlikely today, in particular when we talk about CapEx for making a new store, making a new collection, advertising, so on and so forth, it requires time and money. And you always need to find a compromise. If I could have as much money as I could and as many resources I can have, I would put the customer in the center and make sure that when I see something going fast, I change my company fast enough. You need to do the same, but of course you need to compromise resource and money.
Lelio, thank you so much for taking the time to share your
Thank
journey.
you.